Rocky.
All right, here we are. Another day. Not just any day, a special day. Special day and a special topic. But before we get into it, let's do our simultaneous sip. Everybody hold up your glass. Let's take this moment to simultaneously sip. Oh boy. Now, how much time have you guys had to think about the question of the day of why we should vote?
Not a lot.
2 seconds.
Like 2 seconds.
Well,
Well, I wanted it to be.
yeah.
I didn't want you to necessarily have too much time to plan because I wanted to know what your initial reaction would be. Why do you think?
I think you should vote because it's just if you're like, my vote doesn't really matter, and then you just don't vote, like that. Even though the impact, it's more about your impact on other people wanting to vote rather than your actual impact on the election results. Because if you don't want to vote, then and you're like, oh, I don't really have any impact, then maybe other people are like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna vote either. And then that just comes out with less people voting. So
Yeah.
and so that's why
Yeah, there's a very common sort of complaint that you'll hear from people that don't vote. And they say, well, my vote doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's so many people, so why bother?
Mm-hmm.
And yet, we don't apply that same logic to a lot of the other things that we do in life where
lottery, like there's so many people
like the
who
lottery.
go in, they're
Oh,
just
yeah.
like,
Why do people buy lottery tickets? It's like you're not gonna. That's a really good example. Another one is like, well, why do you do anything? It's
Also,
like if you decide that you don't matter because there's so many other people, then why would you help an old lady cross the street?
don't
Like,
forget.
well, there's so many other old ladies. I can only help this one.
Don't forget that in many countries, people can't vote.
mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So voting is not universal, right? It's
That's
it
right.
only exists in some countries. So it's
So you should vote. Even though
it's backwards.
What?
Look, it looks backwards. It says ETOV.
ETOV. Don't forget to ETOV.
Yep.
Yay. We forgot to write it backwards.
Oh. And my hair's in the way.
Yeah.
Well, I went through the effort
Right, yeah.
of making a sign.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally forgot about the whole
Thingy, yeah.
backward thingy.
I think you can change that.
Oh. Yeah, well, let's just talk about it. And to be clear, we wrote it originally as a question.
Right, yeah.
But then we decided to make it a statement. Because we're going to vote. We're not going to talk about who we're voting for.
Mm-hmm.
But we are.
There's enough of that.
There's enough of that. But I do think it's worth talking to you kids, making sure that we've done our civic duty of talking about why this is so important.
Yeah.
And address head on some of the common, complaints and reasons why people decide that they don't want to participate in the democratic system.
Right.
So what's another one besides the I don't matter, my vote doesn't matter? Is there another one?
there's no candidate I would like to vote for.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The perfect candidate isn't running.
Oh no.
I want someone who is exactly like me.
Yeah.
Ooh. It should be ponytail and girls if you make your hair like that. Oh, good point. Okay.
Yeah.
I was doing this just
Or
in
poof and
honor
girls.
of election day. I
Yeah.
figured, okay, here we go. Poof, yeah, it should
Poof
be
and
poof and girls.
Yeah.
Poof and girls.
And Mom,
No.
Yeah.
we decided that yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead and address that. So then what's the response to that? Oh, but I don't, I don't completely agree with anybody that's running right now.
Well, I think it's still good to just vote for who you think is someone who you like. Which one would you rather have leading the country? Because it does make a pretty big impact on what's going to happen in the next 4 years. And maybe it won't impact you directly, but I know that but if a president has like a cause that they want to that they're saying, oh, I'm gonna do this, and they really mean it, then they can maybe eradicate some really big problems in our country. Whereas like and then if you just vote for them, well, then maybe they'll win. So I guess just voting for the one who you think is better.
That's a very good point. There's two other points I want to add. One, on that ballot, there's actually a lot more on there than just who's running for president.
Really?
Yeah, there's a bunch of people running for local elections. Sometimes they'll have like key questions about
I
how.
haven't had that much experience
haven't?
with
You
voting.
haven't?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
not
there's-
18 yet.
Okay.
Yeah, there's also like sometimes say the school is issuing a bond. There's
Yeah, how should we spend our money?
Spend our money. Questions on the ballot.
Yeah, maybe I'll bring you in and show you, and you can help share your thoughts.
Not
I haven't looked into some of these
I-
things.
No,
I'll need to
you're
do
not
some.
18.
Yeah.
I can still talk to my children about it.
Well, we can come home, tell them it's
can assess
COVID-19 time.
Oh yeah, keep them out of harm's way.
Yeah.
We can look it up
Today
before
is
we go.
probably a super spread event.
Super spreader event day.
Yay!
It's a special day today. Okay.
Yay!
So another thing too is I think being active politically doesn't necessarily mean just voting. So
Yeah.
I mean, you girls remember. So like 4 years ago,
Right.
we made a video about who we supported, and we were sharing that with people, and we were talking about why. We also write a lot about. I've probably done more of this than you, but I've written about things that I believe politically, mostly along the lines of how to think about freedom differently. How can we apply the principles of freedom across the board? And you actually don't end up fitting into any party very well when you do that, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's like how can we think about principle-based policies as opposed to slogan-based policies,
Yeah.
right? And that's me participating in the democratic process. I may not be voting every day, but I am talking to people about why I believe this is an approach we can use to have better political discourse and come to come to places as a country where maybe we're not all happy with the details, but we know we got there from the same principles, and so we can feel like we have a better group identity, like that isn't like fighting identities like sports, but like a sense of togetherness, right? So that's also participating in the political process, right? And so I think in addition to voting, which we realize is backwards looking to all of you, that also just talking about politics, engaging in political discourse, and speaking up for what you believe. These are all things that help make our democracy work.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Also understand how actual legislative system work. I think that's
And if you'd like a lesson, Seth Pellig, who is an employee at Makeshift Homeschool,
Are
wrote
we
an
able
excellent
to
article.
say name?
He wrote an article about the three branches of government, so you can find that on our app. That was really well written.
And at makeshifthomeschool.com.
And at makeshifthomeschool.com, soon to be .app, maybe
And
today.
and .com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun.
Yeah.
So, vote.
Yeah.
ETOG.
ETOB.
tough.
ETOB.
Vote.
Isla, do you have any thoughts on voting?
I think that you should vote because when you're voting, you want to have it's going to turn out to have a president, and you voting just can make it a little bit teensy. But
It's pretty teensy.
Yeah,
But-
it's pretty teensy.
but it also sets an example for others to vote too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
You know,
democratic
in
process works when all of us cast our vote.
Well, it works even when half of us vote.
Sure.
But
Yeah,
that's one of the
but if
issues
only
is
like
that
3 people vote, then it's kind of like.
one of the problems though with the people, some people worry about this, that a fairly small percentage of, relative to other democracies, a smaller percentage of Americans vote. And you know what that leads to is that the people that are voting tend to have more extreme views.
Mm-hmm.
Vote because maybe then others will see that you voted and came out okay. Yeah. That's what Isla just said. Isla's like, well, you're influencing other people. I think that's exactly right.
Also, when I vote, I think about my future generations. Who would it be better to run the country to make the world a better place for my future generations?
Yeah, I think it's a good thought experiment too.
No
I mean, you can make
pressure.
it enjoyable, right? You can
Yeah.
go, okay, well, imagine the country that you want to have for your kids and your grandkids, and or that you want to grow old in. Like even if you don't have kids, like that can be a fun and interesting thought experiment to do with your kids. And then think, okay, well, all right, well then how do we take incremental steps? Oh, there's another thing that that I heard in a political speech recently. I won't say from who, but they were talking about how some people say, don't vote. I don't vote because it never makes any difference in terms of the policies. That the policies just aren't aggressive enough. That they don't. It's not. I don't make a difference because my vote isn't going to swing the election. It's that the incremental change that happens is so small. And this individual, I think, did a really good job of taking that down, basically saying, so basically, you want the world to be 10 times better, but now it's only like 10% better.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, well we will get our stickers that say we voted once we vote.
Yeah.
We haven't voted yet.
You get like
We're
a
gonna
pack
vote
of
today.
20
Pack of 20.
and
Yeah,
like
and then maybe we'll do another one. We could do a live cast during the election. No, maybe I don't know.
maybe.
Maybe.
Hashtag.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
We need a vote.
So if you don't get to a country that is 1,000% better overnight, like it's going to happen incrementally. So
Right.
so this argument that like, oh well, I don't vote because like the amount of change that's being proposed isn't enough for me, that just doesn't hold any water either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or juice.
or juice or coffee.
Yeah.
That argument doesn't hold any coffee or juice or water or any liquid
Yeah.
or solid or gas or plasma. All right. Mommy, do you want to talk about what it was like growing up in the wonderful, beautiful democracy of China? And how excited you are to be in America where you have the right to vote? Because you married me and so now you're a citizen. I would be curious though. The difference in the mentality. It's people just don't really talk about. I mean, it's palpable in China, where people just don't talk about the Communist Party. They also don't, like, there isn't any political TV outside of CCTV 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like, it's all like
Yeah.
government controlled news.
Yeah.
That's something people complain about the United States and the news and be like fake news and all these problems. Yeah, and everybody's complaining about it, right? And all these different points of view are being shared on social media, and everybody's like,
Yeah.
and guess what? Because we have the freedom to complain. It's so beautiful. Like, in that sense, because, you know, last time I went to China, it was like flipping through the channels, and it was literally the same news channel. Every single one was like, Communist Party's great, Communist Party's great.
Mhm.
And there wasn't any dissent,
Right.
you know? And it's like, I don't know if many Americans have had that kind of experience.
Yeah, I think when I grew up, never really thought about to express my dissent, you know, with politicians or, you know, their party. It's, you know, you just do the best you can given the environment you are in.
Mhm.
And, you know, if something kind of unfair happened, a lot of times there is no outlet for
Yeah, there's no place to go. There's no due
addressing-
process. There's no.
addressing the unfairness. But on the other hand, I think China adopted such awesome policies that it worked for most people so well in such short period of time. So
Yeah, no country in the world has ever brought more people out of poverty in such a short period of time.
I think
Yeah.
you know
Than
it's
China.
And like once the lockdown hit, just pure
Yeah.
lockdown just across the.
Oh yeah, it's also like one of the
All of
only
China.
countries in the world that's controlled the pandemic.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to say that there aren't great things about China,
Yeah.
but just on today, on election day,
yeah. I was
Right,
very
yeah.
excited to be able to vote in 2008 because that is a privilege that I never had before.
Right.
And even if my vote doesn't has just a teeny bit of impact, I still had the impact, right? I can say I like this candidate, I like the other candidate less, and that's like very meaningful.
Yeah.
it's very meaningful and it goes beyond the vote. That's the thing. I think it's like, and we were how many doors did we knock on 4 years ago? We didn't do it as much this year because
I
if we
know,
did,
we
we'd be
didn't.
like, hello, and they'd be like, ah! You know,
Yeah.
so, you know, the pandemic
Right.
didn't really help.
Doesn't really work as well.
But we knocked on, and we're not, you know, well, I would say that we're not necessarily like members of a party, but we were very involved. Also, who knows? Maybe your ballot will swing. Yeah, good point. We should talk about how that could happen.
Yeah.
So
What?
in 2000, so actually there are a lot of, especially at the more local level, it happens all the time that
Yeah.
that
The vote swings.
your vote swings it. I mean,
Mhm.
and part of it is because there aren't just like gobs of people that vote, especially on the more local level. But even in 2000, the election was so close
Yeah.
that they were doing recounts, and the recounts between Bush versus Gore in 2000 were coming out. Sometimes Bush was in the lead, sometimes Gore was in the lead, and it was depending on like some of the ballots were like they weren't quite filled out correctly, but to varying degrees. And
Right.
so, like, what if there's like these punch cards, and somebody would punch one person, but then they might have like thought about punching the other person, but didn't quite push it through, but you could see the indentation. There were like all these people with microscopes and like looking at it, trying to figure out who they vote. Like, so it
Yeah.
actually did come down. I think the final vote count came down to like 400
Really?
400 people.
Wow.
400 people. Now, when we went around knocking on doors 4 years ago, we knocked on at least 200 doors, and we made a video we put on YouTube.
Didn't
Sharing with
give
folks.
that many views.
Oh, it had dozens of views.
Wow.
From family and friends.
I think a lot of it was me
Yeah.
rewatching it. I was like, "Look, this is so cool." All right. But maybe we swung like 10 votes. Mostly
yeah,
from
my
door
knuckles
knocks.
hurt a lot.
Yeah, that was a lot of.
My knuckles.
But I mean, you can really. So you definitely can make a difference. But I think that the more important thing is what Isla was saying. Like you're also setting a precedent for other people. So should we talk a little bit about how we shouldn't freak out no matter what happens after the election? Life
Oh
will
yeah,
go
that's
on.
what happened to me.
Deep breathing.
Life
We should all
will
listen.
go on.
I mean, just I just think
Deep breathing, everybody.
don't really get.
Take a moment.
It's like don't really set your heart on like one person
Yes.
winning, because in the end, like you can vote, but it's really not gonna do. It's like
Oh, sorry.
I mean, you voting is good, but it's like maybe it might swing the election, but more likely it's not.
And
So
it's a
like
final-
if you get your heart set on like someone winning and then someone else does, and you're like, oh my
Life
god,
will go on.
That's
Yes,
great.
The country will survive.
hopefully.
We just gotta do our part and not freak out too much. Be sure to board your windows. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
And I guess it's a final.
Hide in the
The
basement.
final result is out of our control.
Yeah,
and
so I mean, like you can do your tiniest little bit, but it's not like it's most likely not gonna swing the election. And if you get your heart set on someone winning so much, it's gonna take a really big impact on you.
So
if
why-
it doesn't happen?
So why? There's a very good reason that we talk about a lot as to why we shouldn't be so obsessed with what the outcome's gonna be that we're
Because
like
it's
sitting
not
around all
in-
day like.
It's not in our circle of influence.
Exactly. Circle of influence.
I mean, like maybe
Not
it
there.
might like
Oh yeah,
tiniest
it is
little
the
chance
tiniest little bit.
that it might, but
Everyone just has to do their part. That's right. That's why you should ETOB. Okay? Don't forget to ETOB. All right.
Yep.
I know I accidentally put the E backward. Anyway. So. Why? But still, though, I don't think we made the point clear. Why should you not freak out all day?
Because
Or all week? Or all month? Because it could take a while.
yeah, because
It
it's
could take a while.
because like well, one, they're just going to come out, and it's nothing like you might as well spend that mental energy doing something that's actually like that's more useful than just oh god, what's gonna happen?
Yeah,
Like,
that's always the
Because-
answer with circle of influence stuff. It's
Yeah,
like, if you
it's
can't
like,
do anything about it,
then why worry about it so much?
I think the other reason too is like if you just look through history, I mean, there's always something to be terrified about.
Yeah.
Like always,
Mhm.
right? Just to terrify you kids,
Yeah.
let me go through history very briefly, starting with World War One.
Right.
All right. So World War One,
You need
entire
to start
world.
before World
Oh, I
War
could go
One,
back earlier, but
because
other
that-
people have to go to work and they have to go ETOP soon. So I want to try
Right.
to.
there was
Exactly.
a period maybe more similar to current period before World War One. That was like it's a railroad.
Pre-railroad. Oh yeah. Okay, well,
it's a railroad
Okay, yeah,
time,
let's-
right?
we could start then. So,
Yeah.
so World War One, you know, the world was at peace, and then a month later, like all of Europe and like a lot of the world was at war,
Mhm.
and then also people had these new things called machine guns, freak people out.
Yeah.
Basically, the whole mentality around war changed, where like it used to be like one of these
Glorious.
glorious going to battle, and then all of a sudden it was like,
So
oh my God, piles of.
died.
Yeah. And then after that, then we had, you know, a brief period of roaring 20s before we had the Great Depression. And it was so depressing. And it went on for a very long, long time.
Yeah.
And then after being depressed, we got to have another world war.
That was beautiful.
And then after that, we got to have a Cold War. That involved really exciting new bombs. And then after that, we got to be obsessed with how, like, oh, and I have to go, code flutter. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, that's true. Come on over. And then after that, then we got, like, all freaked out about, like, communism and, like, oh, you know, and then after that, it was, like, I don't know. Actually, we've had kind of a respite over the past few decades. But
We
point
had a
is,
financial crisis.
oh, we had a financial crisis. Oh my God, all the banks are gonna die.
No, we have COVID.
Right now, oh COVID, oh no, oh my God. Thank you very much. Yeah. Oh, 9/11. Remember? Oh, and 2000. Oh, Y2K was hilarious. Everybody's just like, all of our computers don't know how to write the year 2000. You know,
Right.
people are always gonna find things to freak out about, and there's varying degrees of freaky out reasons, right? And
Right.
some things are worse.
Freaky out.
But the point is that there's just you can always put your focus on these things that you think could cause the world to change. But change is the only constant.
And like,
Yeah. So maybe we'll get change today. Maybe we won't get change today.
to Jay.
To Jay.
To Jay.
Today.
But regardless, we should all
Eat
eat off.
off.
We should all eat off, yeah. Unless you're not allowed to.
That's right.
Right.
Unless you're
And
not.
only eat off once.
Right, yeah.
Only eat off once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But your eat off matters. And it will be counted.
Hopefully.
It will be counted.
Like, there are times that it could be like lost, but
There are like a few instances where eat offs weren't counted.
right, yeah.
But it's like not this mass big thing.
Right, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
No.
It's not like a pandemic of eat offs not being counted.
Right, yeah.
All right. Well, should we close it up?
Sure.
All right. Everybody go out and eat off. Oh, God. And thank you.
Oh my
Thank you
Told you so.
for joining
This is
this
gonna
episode of Growing Girls and Mom.
Pool
Special
friend
edition ETOP.
god. Yay! Eat
All right.
off. Okay.
All right.
Bye. Okay.
Bye-bye.
well, I need to.
Bye.
Well, I,
Don't forget
Yeah,
to
I-
ETOP.
okay.
Go vote.
I,
Vote.
no, it's the
Vote.
ethics. Okay, yeah.
Crack it.